There was no global flood. Noah's Ark didn't actually happen, but it's still true. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor.
Hi, Jeremy. You're not a pastor. I've talked to you before, but we're going to do this again. So go ahead and you give as much of this as I can listen to before I have to immediately debunk your lie.
Now, of course, there are people who practice the pseudoscience of creationism that will tell you there is evidence of a global flood. However, if you look at serious geology, if you look at real geologists, they will tell you there is absolutely no evidence that the earth was covered with water. Like ever. Like not possible. And by not possible, I mean there's not enough water in the air and in the icebergs and in all of that to make a global flood happen.
All right, so that's all I can actually listen to on this, because just that initial claim is completely and totally false, which means that every other thing that he's going to try to build on that is also going to be false. So let me explain this really briefly. He makes the claim that if all the icebergs and everything were to melt, and that wouldn't be enough water to flood the earth, that it's not possible. That's correct. However, if you were to look at underneath the Earth's crust, where we have oceans of water, massive rivers underneath every aspect of the Earth's crust, if all that water, that quantity of water coming to the Earth, all went to the surface and the icebergs melted, then Mount Everest would be several meters deep underneath water. The entire Earth, past Mount Everest, would be completely and totally flooded. It would be approximately 9 kilometers deep of water across the entire globe. So yes, we actually do have more than enough water on the earth to be able to flood the earth. But given that underneath the earth's crust, there are massive oceans and channels of water that the Bible actually talked about in Genesis, that we ended up actually discovering scientifically within the last 50 to 80 years. That right there is a beautiful piece of evidence that the Bible is smarter than this guy who's pretending to be a pastor. So you can be a skeptic all you want, but what you should actually be skeptical of is the pseudoscience of evolution, and understand that creationism is not a pseudoscience. It is actually the legitimate answer for how everything exists. That in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.